we're going to test your memory here, but it's the history of the Nature Boy character. Because, way back when I saw Ric Flair wrestle on Mid-Atlantic TV, holding my UHF antenna at the Whitney House in Pittsburgh, so I could watch it on, I think it was the Johnstown TV station. I had no idea what Nature Boy meant, and I'm not even sure I know what it means now. That comes from a song, right? I think it's a song that's even older than me.
No, actually, I got that from Raquel Welch in 1978 at the Hilton Hotel at the airport.
I hope that's not all you got from her.
But that's my story. Because only a few people are still alive. I don't know where it comes from.
There is a song called Nature Boy, and I think that's where Buddy Rogers got it. That segues. Buddy Rogers was the original Nature Boy.
Yes.
And you studied his gimmick while you were laid up after your plane crash, correct?
Well, no, that's not accurately true. George Scott came to me, who I never get enough thanks and enough gratitude from me. As George Scott was the booker, and he knew Buddy real well. And he said, Rick, I think we should try something with you where you could, patting yourself a little bit after Buddy Rogers, just polish your work up. And I could never look like Rogers. Rogers had one of these incredible physiques, and he could do the strut better than any of us ever have thought of doing it. And what Buddy's claim to fame is that, he was the first guy to ever do high spots. I don't know if you ever knew that or not. Buddy was the first guy. He's the first guy to ever do high spots. Look at it. One tackle, drop down, leapfrog. That was Buddy Rogers. And yes, I never saw footage of him until later on after I became the Nature Boy. But what Buddy did is he traveled with a couple guys, one of them being Billy Darnell. And Darnell was probably as good a worker, if not better, than Rogers. But he would send these guys into the territory before he went there, wrestle these guys. It would be like me sending in Steamboat to get warmed up to wrestle Sting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he had these phenomenal matches with Billy Darnell. There's another kid too, I can't think of his name. And then of course, and he had a bodyguard with him, a guy that was pretty tough. Ruffy Silverstein traveled with him, who was a shooter in college.
Bobby Davis was his manager, as I recall.
Yeah. I never met him, but I know the Silverstein guy was tough, and I know Darnell was a hell of a worker, but that's how he got over. Not only was he great himself, but he put guys in positions to put him over after having a great match as he ascended to the top guy in the territory. I'll give you an example. When Buddy told me one night, and you can look it up, I'm sure the wrestling historians will be all over this. He wrestled Carpentier in Montreal, Whipper Billy Watson in Toronto, Pat O'Connor in Comiskey Park, 54,000 people, 1954, and I want to say he wrestled Gene Kiniski or someone like that the first night. He told me he made $49,000 one week in 1954.
That's a lot of money now, let alone in 1954.
He got his money. He got his cash when he walked in the door. They were sold out everywhere. He drew a ton of money.
Now, how similar would you say your act was to Buddy's? Once your act evolved and you would, like you said, had seen footage of him, how similar was it?
Well, it's not fair for me to say it. I'll just do what Harley did. Flair took Rogers' stuff to a whole new level. Problem?
Well, no, having seen tapes of Buddy, and not very many because not a lot exist, I would tend to...
Well, Buddy was... Back in those days when you're cutting a promo, I'm going to murder that bum. That would never fly today. So I just added, a little flair, a little color, and once again, I wish I could have had his physique. If I had his physique, man, who knows? But it worked out for me, and where Buddy wore jackets, I went and got the long robes. But the day I met him, I've told you the story. He walked over to me in the locker room in Greensboro, looked at me and said, "There's only one dime in this business, kid, and you're looking at him." Hence the promo, Diamonds Are Forever.
Now, you ultimately worked with Buddy. He was
Twice.
57. He'd just come back after a 15-year layoff. What was that like? Were the matches good?
No. Fast and quick. But those guys back then, the only guy that of that age group that I wrestled towards the end, I wrestled Gene Kiniski for an hour a couple times, and I wrestled Pat O'Connor, whose brother was tougher than shit. I mean, wrestling Pat for an hour in St. Louis was a long night, because Pat was a tough guy, and Buddy wasn't a tough guy at all, just a great performer. But they were so quick, and when you take that many years off the business and come back, you're going to be. And I was so excited, and plus the fact I was still relatively green too, Mark. So I wasn't the Ric Flair of 1982. I was just a kid, trying to learn the business myself. So they were far from great. But I really enjoyed it, and I look back on it now, and I just say, it's a feather in my cap to have ever been there. It's kind of like, I got to wrestle Ray Stevens, a couple times later when Ray came to the Carolinas. But that was like wrestling. To me, like wrestling God, because there'll never be another Ray Stevens. Just so you know.
Now,
never.
Did Buddy like what you did with his gimmick, and did you two get along when you met?
He was fine with it. Yeah, I actually went out with Buddy and his wife. He came over to my house. I went to his house with George Scott and his wife. Yeah, I got along with him good. He's just an arrogant guy, but who was I to say anything? You know what I mean? I was just lucky enough. Oh my God, I'm sitting here with Buddy Rogers. The funny thing is, in Charlotte, everybody knew who I was and didn't know who he was. So I don't think he was happy about that. But
well, that's like when the first time I met Ric Flair, I was just thrilled to be sitting across the table from Ric Flair, and then my liver turned to glass after a couple years. Now, the only other actual nature boy I think of any repute was Buddy Landel. Yeah. You worked with him in Crockett briefly. How was he as a talent?
Great. I met Buddy. I first saw Buddy in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was wrestling Carlos Colon, and Buddy was on the undercard there, and he came out, and I talked to him, and he was just Buddy Landel then. And I think Dusty or JJ came up with the idea, but Buddy Landel was a hell of a worker.
Yep.
He just had demons, as do we all. And the demons, got the best of him. And I don't know why. I've dealt with that on a personal level with my son, but you can't explain it, and I can't tell you why or how, but they just got the better of him. Because he certainly was a talented kid. He could talk, he could work. He was a nice guy. I had fun with Buddy. But life was he always treated me with respect. I'll say that, and I don't know what happened with Buddy, but. He got sidetracked, as have a lot of people, with a substance abuse issue.
Well, he was managed by J.J. Dillon, and that was before J.J. and the Horsemen. And in a promo, you said J.J. looked like Porter Wagoner, as I recall.
Yeah,
that was certainly. And look at that picture. He does look like Porter Wagoner.
Yeah, he does.
My God,
Porter Wagoner had better hair.
Well, I think he had more hair, But how come you and Landel never had a full-blown feud at Crockett? Because that was the plan, wasn't it?
I think because of the issues I just brought up, I think he missed a couple shows. He just would drift.
No show.
He would just drift off, and you wouldn't find him for a couple days. Then you're gonna have to fact check that, but that's the only reason. I mean, we wrestled probably 20 different times, but
how were the matches?
Good. It's problem. He wanted to be the heel. I wanted to be the heel. So it's never going to be the best match when you got two guys. Because I wasn't going to change my character. I think there was interest in it, but as you know, you got to be there every day. You can't be late. Your name's on the marquee, and you're not there, and the people pay all this money. Even in those days, the tickets were a lot cheaper. If you're not there. It's a reflection on the promotion, which they're not likely to receive kindly, and it's a reflection on you. So that's the only thing I can tell you is like Terry Taylor tells that story about me pulling into New Orleans, hungover and everything, and that's probably true. But after 50 minutes, he couldn't breathe. So.
Yeah, but like Arn always says, you're a Martian. Not too many people could pull that off, but I think that's unique to Ric Flair.
I have the gene.
Now, I liked Buddy. I thought he was a good performer,
Yes.
but he, because of many reasons, never took that next step. And it begs the question, how do you imitate Ric Flair? That's a pretty ballsy move, whether it's Buddy or anybody else, but no matter what, you're going to come off as a Xerox.
I don't know. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. There are a lot of people have tried over the years. Look at a lot of gimmicks that the guys coming out with girls. That's been going on for years, but I was the first.
Well, put that picture back up, Steve. Was that AJ Styles in the Ric Flair robe? Is that AJ?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he did that in TNA.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
But it wasn't. AJ wasn't trying to imitate. AJ, I could never work as good as AJ Styles. Trust me.
Oh, I don't know about that, but he's brilliant. He's
phenomenal. Yeah.
One of the best of his generation, maybe the best. But now I liked it when Jay Lethal didn't do the Nature Boy gimmick per se, but he imitated you in TNA. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I'm thrilled that he's I think he's with AEW now, that he's finally with a major promotion. Not saying that Ring of Honor isn't or wasn't, but I think Jade's got a ton of talent, and he can talk, which is a big part of the show. You know what I mean?
No question. I think Jay's tremendous. I will say this, though, about his little mini feud with you in TNA. Even though it was funny, that's not really a long-term thing, is it? Because once you've seen it, you've seen it. Yeah,
plus I was 62 years old, so there wasn't much to see.
I thought you were in your prime, Nate. Come on.
I was, but you're the only one I could convince that of.
Well, what about Lethal when he imitates Randy Savage? I like that too.
Fantastic. Ooh, yeah, dig it. Yeah, he can do really. I'll tell you, he can do me and Savage better than anybody I've ever heard. It's incredible. But once again, I mean, that's a tribute to how much time he spent watching TV, because he has us both down pat. It's a lot. It's fun to hang out and fun to have him do that.
Nate, I got to tell you, to put the spotlight on myself for a second, my radio career is based on talking like you. No question. There was an old-timey Pittsburgh radio guy named Doug Hirth that helped me break into radio. I started late. I was in my 30s, and my radio persona is a combination of Doug Hirth and Ric Flair. No question about that. And by the way, people complain that I talk too loud on this podcast. That's just the way I talk. I mean, come on.
I know. I'm fully aware of it. Hey, I'm forced, just because we're in this business now, to look at the comments on social media too. They're very entertaining.
Yeah, they're really complimentary for me, certainly.
Yeah, well, I guess they are. They seem to be enjoying it. I'm having fun, and we haven't shot anybody yet either. So when we start shooting,
we're doing a great job. And one last thing about the Jay Lethal imitation is TNA in that period a bit underrated. A lot of stars were there, and I thought some good stuff happened.
Well, there was a ton of talent there. I don't know what kept them or held them back. I mean, I think some of the booking decisions were an issue, but they've had some great talent come through there. I mean, great young talent. You know, it's like right now, you're seeing a dry spell right now in the developmental stages for both companies. It's hard to come up and be on top in this business. I mean, you look at the group with Roman and Seth and Dean, and then you got Charlotte, and Sasha, and Bailey, and so there were six huge stars right there. But if you look back into it, how many more have come along?
Oh, no question. And how many more are coming along?